Hey everyone, this is Cody.
And Sean?
This is a place to hear about the paranormal, the supernatural, and everything in between.
Today's discussion is going to be about Fort MacArthur. We did an investigation there a few years back. Very interesting. You guys might know it as the Battle of Los Angeles. They saw some lights over the ocean. We fired upon it. They didn't find any issue or didn't find any
Japanese fighters or anything like that.
Yeah, it was when there was some hostility, war with Japan.
It was back in 1942, right?
Correct.
Something like that.
Yeah. But we did an investigation there, and it was amazing. We came across a lot of different spirits there. We have a lot of evidence from that location. We've got some really good EVPs. Yeah, excellent EVPs. If you go to our Instagram, there's an example of one of the EVPs we picked up.
Well, what's curious is it's an old military base, right? But there's a lot of children and female voices we got there.
Right.
And I know you've experienced a lot of stuff in the tunnels down there.
I did.
And that was an experience in itself, right?
Right. So we found a location there where there was a tunnel. And it was, back then, again, Cody and I don't fear when it's dark. So I walked down at the end of this tunnel by myself while I think Cody and another investigator was waiting outside the tunnel. And I started asking questions. And I said, "Is anybody here with me?" And as I'm sitting down in the tunnel, I get two knocks on a pole that's right next to my head. What was funny about it was Cody and the other investigator goes, "Oh my God, did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah," it was right next to my ear. So it was a little bit hair raising, but it was I knew I was talking with somebody.
Well, it was at that point, and I think if my memory serves me correctly, as you said, "Is anybody here?" And we saw that shadow pass by your head, or was that a second time?
That was another time.
Okay.
So I was so far down in the tunnel, you guys couldn't see me. But the funny thing was I started asking the question, were you military? And I said, if you're military, please knock twice. And then whoever it was, responded with two knocks.
Right.
So I knew I was dealing with an ex-military or a military person. We went at several locations. We were looking at, there was a door that was closed off. We were looking through a door and we saw a mass walk through and past the crack.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Right.
Right.
But we were in that garage area, and it was you, me, and another investigator. And I was sitting in the corner. You guys were sitting over further inside.
Right.
And that's when you guys saw. Go ahead and.
We saw the mat. We just saw the mass. Like it wasn't. It was. I don't want to say definitively it was like a shadow person, but it was for sure a mass. Kind of just passed by.
Yeah. I know that they saw it. I could sense something was around me, but I didn't really see anything. They said, "Hey, Sean, there's something that just floated by you." That was one of several things that happened there. What was the other?
Well, I think the most prominent EVP, and this is also on our Instagram, is we're outside at daylight, and we're talking about what we're going to do inside once we get inside. And there's we're up top. I believe we're above the cannons where the cannons used to be because they took them out now. But we're up top and we're talking, and we're with another investigator, and she says, if that is not correct, she said something like that, and then you hear this really creepy little girl say, "What did you want me to do?" And what's cool is I was wearing my headphones at the time, and I heard it as whoever was saying it.
Oh.
So I stopped it, and I was like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
And we played it back, and sure enough, that was that.
And we didn't have the full clip. He cut it, but you could hear it. And again, when you're obviously a spirit, it's hard to have a clear, consistent voice. But you can hear the EVP right at the end. It raised up. So that, again, my beliefs are that this is an energy, and for them to actually put their voice on an electric device, it's going to do that.
I think we both have the same understanding as far as they have to, bring their energy, right, bring their frequency down to the 3D realm.
Yeah,
right?
and with Cody and I, there's a, I don't want to say compromise, I want to say there's teamwork here. So as Cody and I, understanding being sensitive and a medium, there's a level of us having to raise our vibration. And again, dealing with the paranormal for so long, we kind of learned how to do that. And that's meeting that energy halfway so there's communication. I want to say that's probably the reason why 9 out of 10 times when we go to a location, we get activity and we're able to capture activity. Of course, it's always fun to be able to share that and being able to capture that on, recorders and video and all these different things. It's just really fun to share that with people.
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, it's great to capture all that evidence, but it's also something in itself is when the experience is just for you, right? And we've
Right.
kind of touched base on that last podcast. But I think it's great is when spirit shows itself to you and only you, and you can it's kind of like an intimate type of thing, you know?
Right. And I believe there's a level of that energy or that spirit, that personality, if you will, understanding what it's dealing with. Cody and I have the most pure intentions, and really our bottom line is we're going in there to understand what's happening and why it's happening. And if it is a spirit that's trying to find its way, we're there to try to help it if that's in their line and if that's in line with them. A lot of times you'll get a spirit that wants to just, they're attached to something they truly love, and then they have to figure it on their own when it's time to leave. But I like to think Cody and I have had a couple situations where we had that opportunity, where there were spirits that seemed like they didn't know what to do and needed direction. You want to go into that experience?
This was actually kind of around the same time we went to Fort MacArthur. I can't for the life of me think of the theater's name. Do you remember the theater's name by chance of where it was at? I know it was in San Pedro because it was by Fort MacArthur.
Yes, it was very close.
Well, there's a theater in San Pedro, and it's very old, and we were there doing an investigation, and we were there with another group. It was only like 8 of us, I think, and we're there, and they split us up again.
Frustrating.
They always split Sean us up. So,
and explain to them why they split us up.
Yeah, well, they split us up to kind of see how we work with other people, and it come to find out nothing kind of really happened.
Right.
It like Sean touched base when we get together, it's something about our energy. We bring spirits and whatnot want to kind of flock towards where we're at. So
like a moth to the light, right?
Right.
So I kind of think that because I've heard from the leader of that group that they wanted to be able to spread it out because they were seeing that you and I were getting a lot of activity.
Absolutely.
And I think they wanted us to separate groups so everybody could have an experience,
Right.
But they were really impeding on what our understanding is. But I mean, as far as the
So I'm sitting down with another investigator, and we're actually really good friends. Sitting down with her, and we're doing a EVP session in the actual theater room. I'm sitting on one of the seats looking at the stage, and Sean is behind the stage at the time I'm doing this, so he can't see me or anything. So I'm asking questions, and I start getting hits on my K2, and that seems to be one of our most prominent tools. Is that's how they like to communicate. But so we start establishing communication with the K2, and then I start talking to this female. And I think she was a dancer at the time back in the day, and she was staying there. And for some reason or another, I asked the question, well, why are you still here? Do you want to go to the light? And the K2 went all the way to the red. It was blinking all the way to the red. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I got to call Sean over here.
Yeah.
So,
But did you start picking up on like it felt like it was stuck in it?
Well, yeah,
somebody
but
was holding
that
on.
was when I called you. So I called Sean. I said, "Hey, get over here." So as I'm waiting for Sean, that's when I start picking up. Is somebody not letting you leave? And then the K2 goes all the way to the red, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So somebody's here, kind of being the big bad of the place and not letting anybody leave.
So what's really interesting about that is when I was back behind stage, we were getting what seemed to be a male figure that was, I don't know if you want to say aggressive, but possessive over the location, because we were in the, I guess the rooms where you get dressed and whatnot. And I was with a couple other people from the group, and we were getting all kinds of activity as well, but it didn't seem like it was very pleasant.
Right.
So
Well, yeah. Well, when you got there, that's what we were kind of figuring out is this person, this I want to say malevolent spirit, kind of felt like he had a hold over the place, and he said who can leave or who can go. Now I'm not too savvy with what happens on the other side because I'm not there, obviously.
Yeah.
But in my belief, it's just like you and me. Like there's stronger people, there's weaker people, there's strong-willed, weak-willed. I think it all follows us wherever we go, and
I think
we
that's
kind of
it.
got that. And Sean got a good chance to use. This is when he was just coming into his own. And he got a chance to use his ability too to kind of, I don't want to say see the female, but almost feel what she was feeling, right?
There's a lot of emotion, a lot of fear, and going back to the individual that was holding, she felt that she was obligated to stay. And yeah, working with her, you could see that there was a level of just, I can't get anywhere. I'm stuck here. I felt that. I get better messages now that I'm more developed, but I could tell that there was a lot of, I just can't go anywhere, and just sadness.
Right.
So when we realized that this woman felt like she was stuck, we started counseling her. I let her know that she wasn't stuck, that if she wanted to go towards the light, she could. Then we started again communicating with using the K2, and again I felt the serenity come in. So, and then with my mind's eye, I could see the light had come in, and then we asked her, there's no reason to stay here anymore, and we said, you can walk into the light. So as I said that, we both felt a release. And then we started trying to contact her again via
K2, and
K2.
there was nothing. There
Yeah.
was no hits, and it also felt lighter in the place as well. That's the malevolent spirit. I 100% is still there for sure, but it just goes back to kind of reaffirming your faith and whatnot. And Sean and I got we were able to help, which is ultimately what we want to do, right?
Yeah.
Is help.
Cross
And
that spirit.
by any means, like we don't go into a place and say, all right, all these spirits are gonna go to the light. It's a more of a feeling, like you kind of feel it out.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going in, hey, we're going to pass every spirit, because we can't determine if it's time for a person to pass or if there's still things they need to complete.
I don't want
in
that
this.
responsibility.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I think, again, we work close to our beliefs, and I think that we're put into situations if that is one of the things that's supposed to happen. Again, we're just there to guide, and if it's guide families and help them get over whatever's going on in their house, or if it's to guide a soul that's looking for a way home, we're there. We're supporting that.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I think there's been several instances on our investigations that we've came across malevolent spirits kind of taking over the place, and I when I say malevolent, I just mean strong-willed or kind of a bad
negative.
person, bad energy type of thing.
probably an asshole, was an asshole in life, and he's an
Exactly.
asshole in spirit.
Exactly. So, well, and you know what? That brings it to a good point. Is a lot of stuff you do in life kind of follows you to the afterlife, right? And that's that brings us into what construct energy, residual energy, which is a big one we see all the time, right?
Yep.
In case you guys are wondering, if you don't know, but residual energy, the best way I can explain it is it's how it was taught to me is, think of a blacksmith and they're like hammering on a sword all day or making a sword all day. That's what they did for their whole life, and then they die. And when they die, that energy, that residual energy, is still there, and you can sometimes hear the clinking and the banging
And even see the residual person.
Sure.
And I've got it explained a little bit differently, and it was more like a tape that keeps playing over and over and over again. And if there's a situation where there's a lot of emotion, like an ugly death or a painful death, sometimes that energy, that explosion of energy stays. Not necessarily meaning that person that had passed is still there,
Right.
but that experience was imprinted in that space and at that time. So
Exactly.
there's a lot of amazing things that we've learned, and again, as far as I'm concerned, Cody and I are scientists. We're researching. We're trying to figure out these different experiences, but we're open. And again, with the gifts, it also helps us determine what's going on or what we're dealing with.
You know what we should tell them about is when they split us up for the first time. It was down. God, for the life of me, I can't think of that place either. But it's where we saw that cowboy with the top hat.
Oh, are you talking about where the
Heritage Junction.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that place was amazing. So we went with a big group there. There was
Like 20 plus people.
Yeah, there was multiple groups with this in this tour. What was funny is we were all going to go into one building to discuss the different buildings and what kind of things were going on. I was like one of the last people to go in, and I noticed that, or I talked to the person that was putting on the whatever it was going to be, and I asked her because I had a vision of a cowboy stepping out of the top window, and I asked her, so what's with the cowboy with the handlebar mustache and big cowboy hat? And she's like, oh, you saw the picture in the paper. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, I see it psychically, or mediumship actually. And she goes, oh wow, that's crazy. She goes, they actually captured a picture of a cowboy coming out that window. So I had seen that. I think that was actually that energy was there.
That was that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Well, it was funny. Like I said, there was 20 plus people there. It was from different paranormal groups throughout Southern California, and Sean went with a group. I went with a different group, and I don't think we've met these people before. I think this is our first time.
I think so.
Well, we're up in the. Let me back up. Sean goes up in the rafters the first time, right? Up to the 2-story building.
Yeah, upstairs where
Right.
I saw
Go ahead,
the
tell
cowboy.
Tell him that.
So I went up and I ended up going with one of the leaders of Para at the time. We went up there and I instantly felt there was a territorial man there. He was claiming it to be his space, and he was trying to make himself look big. He stretched himself out to where he was in the rafters. But when I got a glimpse of who he really was, he was just a shorter guy. But he was a cowboy. But he wanted to make himself look big.
Well, he was trying to be intimidating, right?
Right. And we could feel like there was a little bit of static noise and some movement, which scared a couple of the people that weren't so experienced. But
Sure.
I explored it, mediumship or psychically on what it was, and
Well, then, so Sean sees that, and so they all leave, right? When we go investigating, we kind of do like 30 minutes at a spot, right? So my group goes up there next, and then I'm sitting down and I'm looking up at the rafters, and I'm like, I see a freaking tall cowboy, but he's not tall. Like, he's actually like 5 foot nothing, but he's making it seem like he's bigger.
Yeah.
So, I tell that to my group. It's all cool. We hear little sounds or whatever, and then later we meet up with Sean, and I'm like, what's up, bro? What are you doing? And, he's all nothing, just walking through, and I'm like, so what'd you guys think of the tall cowboy up in the rafters? just randomly saying it, and Sean's like, are you kidding me? He's all, dude, I saw the same thing.
it was amazing. Again, just reaffirming that Cody and I have gifts, right? That's prominent. We actually had another experience. Again, I'm bummed that we didn't share that place, because I think it would have been even more so exciting.
That's the place I actually got scratched too.
Oh wow, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to talk about that? It's from the cowboy.
It's from the cowboy, yeah. So later on, we all met up in this. I think it was like the cafeteria place or something. We're all sitting down, and the tour guide just started talking. She's all, yeah, people have been scratched, people have been, bitten, which I thought was kind of weird, and pushed and whatnot. So keep in mind, when I'm in investigation, I know Sean does the same thing. We don't antagonize or anything like that, but we do try and spark activity. So I started playing with cards, just like poker or whatever, like anything else, and I start feeling this burning sensation on my right hand. And you can physically, one of the ladies from Para, which is a different paranormal group, came over and she started filming it, and you can see red marks on my hand.
Wow.
It was insane. I didn't feel threatened. It wasn't like how do I say this? I don't think it was malicious. I think they were trying to communicate, and they maybe don't know how or something. But I did not feel like I was in danger.
Yeah. So I also had an experience in the same building at the bottom floor, at this point, there was probably, I want to say, 8 people on one wall, and I felt a strong feeling to go on the other wall and sit down. When I sat down and I'm looking at everybody, they had their backs to the wall and looking at me. All of a sudden, I watched every one of them, their eyes get big. And I'm like, what's going on? And then when the person said, oh my God, do you see that? And I'm like, I didn't know what they were talking about. Well, then they told me a head had stuck, a spirit had stuck its head through the wall next to me, and then look around and look at me, and then back into the wall.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I was like, "Are you?" And I could feel the static. I could feel something was next to me. I didn't at that point. I don't think maybe I was a little intimidated by even to look over, but I was just in a good state where I could feel what was around me. But yeah, that was really. I was disappointed that I didn't get a chance to see it, but I could feel it.
Absolutely, and that, you know what, that kind of happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
We'll review evidence and we're like, dude, we didn't feel anything there, and then we got all this activity, right?
Who we should say that one for now. I was going to talk about George's Air Force Base, but what do we?
That's a fantastic place in itself, right?
Yeah.
But I think what we should do for a closing is talk about Linda Vista Hospital. Linda Vista Hospital is a crazy place. It's a psychiatric place here in Southern California. It's actually torn down now,
right?
To my understanding. Is it torn down?
No, I think what happened, yeah, it is torn down. We were told that this would be the last investigation,
That's right.
and that they were going to make it an old folks home.
Yep.
But then we found out 2 years later they tore it down, and I'm sure it was because of the
activity.
paranormal.
That place is a beacon for paranormal. I mean, obviously it was a psychiatric ward,
Yeah.
but the amount of creepiness at that place was phenomenal, right? Everywhere you went, it's like you're being watched or stalked, or somebody was behind you.
Shadows moving. Cody talked about the door and seeing the face. That was the most prominent thing that he saw
Ever in my life.
Ever.
I mean, the door slam scared the shit out of me. You know? I'm like, what was that? And I walk over to where the door was, and these old hospitals had little windows that you can peer through, and I peer through the window, and with physically my eyes, I see it's a spirit, but it took on the body of a paranormal investigator who's supposed to be 4 stories below me. And I start freaking out. I open the door real quick. Nobody's there.
Yeah.
And there's no windows, no doors. And I'm like, what just happened?
Mind you, I'm with another investigator right there while Cody's with the other investigator trying to figure out what the frick was going on. The ghost box was responding to all kinds of things. So whatever Cody saw was still talking to us on the ghost box.
Absolutely.
Being very clear on our questions. I don't remember exactly what the questions were. I'm sure we'll post some of those things on our Instagram. The new reality, or the lowercase reality 11. As we go through our our evidence, we'll post those things and you'll get a chance to see it. But really amazing stuff at that place. I liked it. It was creepy. And it was on several floors.
And God, I wish that place was still up so we can investigate it now. Knowing what we know now, oh my God, it'd be amazing, right?
Have the whole building for ourselves. That'd be great. But yeah, it's been, we've had a lot of really cool experiences, and those are just a couple of them.
Absolutely. So that's it for this talk show. Make sure you give us a follow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thumbs up. Well, thank you.